Yo, what's up guys? We are back for chapter 88 of Hope You're Not Happy Lemon, because I hope you're not happy lemon. But yeah, really, we are back. I thought there were going to be a couple of better chapters coming out, but there weren't. That's why I took a break. But I'm here again because we're just on this down spiral of events that I wish we weren't on. But yeah, with that being said, my initial thoughts on this chapter were, okay, there was a little foreshadowing of things that might come, things that I hope happen. And also there was a lot of stuff that I did not like from these last few chapters. This one in particular seems to be confirming the suspicions of Sunao and Lemon potentially getting back together, which honestly I don't like too much narrative-wise for this story, because I feel like we were going in a really good direction. But yeah, with that being said, let's just hop straight into the chapter. So this last arc has kind of been Kogahara wanting to confess her feelings, kind of, sort of, towards Sunao. She is kind of a, how would I say her character is? It's kind of like non-confrontational. I would say she's kind of acting like she's walking on thin ice whenever she's interacting with Sunao, and I don't think she should be, but that's kind of how her character design has been. In the last few chapters, she has essentially asked Sunao out on a date, didn't even say where to, just said she wants to go out somewhere. And while this thing is going on, it's like some cultural festival mini arc, so not too interesting, but that's kind of the scenario we are put in. And yeah, the thing that I really don't like, or that's kind of grinding my gears off this chapter, and especially the last few chapters, is Sunao's kind of wavering resolve to like cut Lemon out of his life. At the beginning of the series, it was like, no way, I like Kogahara now. I don't know, to me it just feels like, why, I don't really understand why his feelings are wavering all too much, but that's kind of the path that we're going down with his character now, even though he said he wouldn't in the past. But yeah, with this chapter in particular, we start out with Kogahara, and she's talking to Lemon, who is in Sunao's body, and she's just wondering, oh, what would Lemon think if she found out that I asked Sunao out on a date? Yeah, kind of the same stuff that we've been getting over and over again in the series. That's kind of why I haven't been covering it all too much. The past few weeks, past few chapters have been kind of repetitive, but we are starting to get some semblance of like stuff going down as the story is actually progressing. And here what's happening is we have a reintroduction of Rika into the story, right? She does know about the body swapping, so she knows who she's with, and she kind of also knows like the whole situation with Lemon. And basically what happens here is they're at their club's like food stall, whatever, it doesn't really matter all too much, but this is kind of where Lemon and Sunao cross paths, and Rika is with Sunao. And basically what happens is Kogahara also shows up here, and it looks like Sunao and Kogahara are kind of kicking it off with each other. They start talking or whatever. Sunao's blushing, whatever, dude. It's just, it is what it is. But essentially, Rika goes and pulls Lemon aside to, you know, go and talk to her, because she's like Rika's like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do in this situation? All I know is that it's very awkward, or looks very awkward or uncomfortable for Lemon right now, because her best friend is like flirting with her past mans, right? Okay, dude, why am I so into this role? But yeah, whatever. Rika and Lemon start talking, and basically Lemon goes and says, forget what I told you earlier about I'm gonna try to stop falling in love with him. I can't do that. I'm just madly in love. And Rika here, she's trying to act as like a medium, like middle ground kind of. She's not trying to favor any one person. If anything, she does want to favor Lemon a little bit, but she's saying whatever choices you make, that's your decision, and I can't stop you from doing that. And it really just matters, honestly, how you feel and what you think is right to do, and that she, you know, she's gonna support her, whatever decision she makes. But an interesting thing that Rika does go and say here is, however your feelings change, that's your choice to make. Even if you suddenly start hating him tomorrow, no one could blame you for it. Lemon's like, isn't that a little crazy? Isn't that a little extreme? And then she kind of laughs the whole thing off. But then we do get like a classic kind of foreshadowing panel, in my opinion, with the text, I don't think I could ever do that. So basically, to me, if anything happens in the series, I think that is kind of signifying, if anything, was holding on to a little bit of hope because of all the other information in the chapter. Because God, bro, it's like, what is going on, man? Like, dude, like I was really expecting this to be a straightforward kind of cut and dry series. Like, okay, Lemon was with Sunao, breaks up, and then Sunao's like, okay, well, I don't know what happened back then, but because of what you did, I don't really like you anymore. And I found this other girl that I like. It just happens that she's your friend. And I thought he was gonna just get together with her, and then Lemon is going to go on this whole improvement arc with her character development, and then they would get back together later in the series. But I don't know what's gonna happen now, because it's just whatever. Just because of how Sunao is acting, basically. But I still do hope that there is some tension, some drama. I think something is coming. I don't think next chapter, probably within the next 2 or 3, just the way that things are starting to get set up. I said that 5 chapters ago, nothing happened, bro. It's acting like, bro, this is basically One Piece at this point, where nothing ever happens. But yeah, enough of that. After this, we kind of fast forward into the future, and it's nighttime now. The nighttime festival activities are going on. Kind of classic anime manga club cultural festival with the stalls everywhere. And basically kind of Sunao is just looking for everyone, like, where's everyone at? But then randomly Kogahara calls out to him, and basically she goes and asks, hey, are you going to the after party later? You know, it's not going to be no like turn after party, but it's in the confines of this situation, right? Oh wait, never mind. Actually looking into this, because they didn't say anything about like an after party, like other than this information, but this is kind of making me think that maybe there's like a whole event after this. Maybe they get a little tipsy, a little drunk, I don't know, and emotions start spilling out. Hopefully that's something that happens, because honestly, we just haven't got that much drama in the series. I hope that something happens, man. Please. But yeah, with that being said, Sunao and Kogahara just go out and peruse like the nighttime part of the festival. It's a little awkward. Basically here Kogahara goes and says, I'm sorry for asking you out of the blue like that. And of course Sunao's like, oh, that doesn't matter at all. That's actually what I want. Like, he doesn't say that, but that's what he's thinking. But Kogahara continues and she says, I called it a date, but when I said that, it was sort of a figure of speech, and she's basically just apologizing for being so forward, so upfront with her feelings. Of course, Sunao isn't taking it like this, but he's also thinking to himself, oh, but she didn't take it back, saying that it wasn't a date, right? But this kind of gets him to want to say, if I said, actually, I like it to be a date, would that change anything? That's kind of what he's thinking, and that's kind of what he's about to say here, until we get him looking at his own body, which Lemon is in his body right now. I should have said that earlier, they're swapped right now. But yeah, because everything doesn't make sense if they're not swapped right now. But yeah, basically they're swapped right now, and he sees his own body walking around looking for people, and that's Lemon in his body. This chapter and last chapter, we have gotten these kind of critical moments where Sunao needs to, like, I wouldn't say man up, but kind of like be on the receiving end of what Kogahara is saying, and every single time he falls short because he thinks of Lemon in some sort of way. And that happens again. And this is basically right as he's about to say what he was about to say to Kogahara, of saying he wants it to be a date, but he never gets to, because then Lemon spots them, and that's kind of the end of that. Kogahara says, were you about to say something? And then Sunao is like, no, never mind, it's nothing. And there's a big fire, terrible explosion, boohoo. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, right? The series, the way it's been written right now, is very wishy-washy, just like the characters. I don't really like that all too much, because it's just kind of, it feels like unnecessary variance that doesn't need to be there. Like, we already know, or we kind of expect or want to see stuff happen, or at least I do. Everyone else, other people may be different, but to me personally, like, I really want to see a series that doesn't just shoehorn the main girl in and actually add some drama or some like deeper meaning into the series. It is a rom-com at the end of the day. It is a shonen rom-com at the end of the day. But I just feel like it's so good, man. I feel like it's so good. You know, it could be Kaguya adjacent, where there is some kind of tension in the story. That's kind of how I see it. I see it as a step above the classic harem romance slop, and I really wanted to reach that upper echelon. That's like a crazy word to say for like this type of genre series, but I have very high hopes for Hope You're Happy Lemon. Hopefully they don't go to waste. I've been reading it basically since it dropped. I think, yeah, since it dropped, I've been reading it. But that's kind of my input on what this chapter was about. Sorry I've been gone. No real excuse. I've been addicted to League of Legends, and honestly, every single chapter of every single series that I've been covering has been abysmal, to say the least, except for Umine So. I mean, honestly, everything has been complete trash, dude, to be honest with you. Rent-A-Girlfriend, terrible. Like, I could cover it, but it's like, bro, nothing is happening. And his other series has been kind of on hiatus, break, whatever. There's been like a chapter. And yeah, I mean, this series, this chapter and the last chapter could have been combined into two, or combined into one, and it would have been the exact same, in my opinion. But yeah, that's really about it. If you guys have any other like series you want to recommend that like I cover or I read or anything, please let me know, because I am reading a lot of stuff, not just rom-com stuff. Like I'm reading like Togen Anki, that's really good right now. One Piece is mid. Gashiakura, all right. But yeah, definitely let me know what your thoughts on this chapter were in particular, and like kind of what you also see in the future happening, because to me, I don't know anymore. I had a really clear vision. I really thought I could see the future, but now I just can't. I kind of it's getting a little wishy-washy, bro. It's like that's what it is. But yeah, that's really about it. So I'll see you.
I run away, into the world with you.